Welcome to the Macro Chat Live Show. And AD and I are here for the feedback loop.
We are.
Yes, and let us know, you guys, where I see Catherine, Elise. So we know Catherine, Georgia, correct? And Elise, Ireland.
Oh, I got to get to Georgia. I want to go to Georgia so bad. I want to see the savannah and film all of that. Oh, I've never been able to get there since I was a kid. And
I've never been south. I've been all over the United States, but I've never been to the South.
Really?
So, yes, it's pretty sad.
You would love it. It's fantastic. It is an amazing playground, a lot of history. People are amazingly wonderful. It's a really great place. And I haven't, last time I was at Disneyland, I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Yes. It's 40 years ago, Janice. 40 years.
Yeah, we're the same age, everyone. That's scary.
Man. People talk about the things that are at Disney now, and I'm like, well, I used to love going on Treasure Island. I thought that was good. They're like, Treasure Island, that's been gone for 30 years. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oops. I know. So we are so happy you guys are here. This is the Macro Chat Live Show where we talk about close-up photography, macro, which is 1-to-1, and micro, which is really, really, really close. And we are here every other Thursday. Oh, we have to, that's one of the things we need to fix. It says 5 p.m.
Yep, that was it. That was it. Yep. I knew there was something. That was it right there. The time.
AD say we have to change a couple things around because we used to be 5 p.m., but now we're 1 p.m. So Elise can hang out with us. That's why.
We're going to get excited. A makeover anyway, Janice. I got this new thing on the Mac that I've been playing with, and I'm going to put some stuff together. It's going to be fun.
Oh, I'm excited. Yeah. And we were just talking before we got on, you guys, and we are definitely ready to rock it a little bit where we do feedback loop. And then we also talk about other things like software or business or whatever you guys tell us in the chat. I would love to know, what do you guys want on our feedback loops? Because what we do is at least one time out of the month, we have an amazing photographer. July, I'm still working on. There's 2 photographers I'm trying to set it up with the time frame. And then the other time, I'm always hoping AD will hang out with me in the feedback loop because this is fun. I totally enjoy hanging out with you, AD, and all the chatters.
Feelings mutual. So not me hanging out with me, but me hanging out with you.
Yes, Savannah is wonderful for photography.
My friend shoots down there a lot, and every time I see his photos, I'm like, I want to go. I can't find time, and now can't go do anything now. So
yeah, it's pretty tough. Yeah. I have to say though, it's so interesting to really enjoy other people's images from all around the world. And one time, I had an apprentice, and I was like, oh, you should get down really low to the water and have this. And she's like, there's alligators in that water. I'm like,
right.
Never mind.
Yep. And there's also chiggers. My friend told me about chiggers in the sand. They're like little sand things, and they bite you. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be prepared, but okay, thanks. But I remember the alligators when I was down there. I remember alligators just you'd be driving down the road and look, and there's one right alongside the road. You're like, alligator right there. It was really awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would totally be awesome. So I wanted to also let you guys know that today, Catherine, we have a beautiful image from her. So what you could do is you could go to sullivanjphotography.com. Don't forget the J. And then you'll see at the top, it'll say Macro Chat Show. And then you just click on that, and it gives you all the information on how to submit. For some reason, Baz was having a problem, so I just took his images since we know Baz. And he's not here yet, but I'm hoping he'll jump in. He's got a couple images, but he'll watch the replay because he's definitely one of our awesome chatters that we have here. So do that, because this way you can get feedback. And what we do is we talk to you, which is really awesome when you're here, but also we give you homework. And I think that our feedback, AD, that when we do this is it helps so many other photographers that may have the same issues, like the bubble, what we're going to talk about towards I pushed that towards the end, but A did a great job, Baz, I added that in. Baz had added it a while back, and I thought this would be something good for us to talk to help.
Yeah, it was such a cool photo, and I just think there's a few things, and he's got, I think, and we'll look at that at the end there. He's got like a printable, a wall hanger, as we like to call it, the photo that's like inspires you to, yes, I want to print that, I want to put it on the wall. So it wasn't much. I mean, he was, he captured the moment, and so it was just a few little things. And I think it'll help everybody to look at their photos, and that's our whole goal, is to help people have a different view when they look at things. It's so hard when we look at our photos, it's so hard to look through someone else's eyes. So that's what we kind of do here. We present a different pair of eyes for you guys, and usually we try to base it on your feedback. I cannot stress enough, to make this work, how important it is to have your goals sent to us, so that we know what you're trying to achieve with your art, because otherwise we're gonna tell you what we would achieve with your art, and that may not please you. I mean, that may not forward your goals. That may not move you forward. And the whole idea behind this show is so that Janice and I can take some time with things that we've learned. And one of the things that Janice and I were selected to be our masters at the Arcanum for was because we could look at people and we could say, what are you trying to achieve? And let's help you get there. And we were good at that. And so the thing that we try to do here is to do that with the people that submit their images. And the only way that we can do that is if we know what you're trying to achieve, even if it's the very smallest thing. It doesn't have to be super detailed. It can just be like, I wanted to take a picture of a sunset. Let's just put that out there, with a flower. And I wanted to make the flower like the star of the show, or something simple like that we can build off from and share our knowledge with you to help you achieve that goal. So when you're submitting your images, that's my part of it. I just say, please tell us what you're trying to achieve, so we're not just talking heads. And
yeah, exactly. And then that's like the first one we get into is Shannon's. We missed hers last time because this show is only an hour, and I keep it an hour. Right. So maybe we go over 5-10 minutes, but that's sometimes. But I do my best to watch the time frame and keep us going, just to keep an hour with you guys. Right. And so we missed Shannon, but Shannon, you are first in line. And and I didn't get a chance to email her. I'll email her after the fact. It's just sometimes we just get so busy. Right. But yeah, but I'm glad that we are going to dive into hers. Let's do real quick. I'd like to do the sponsor real quick. Sure. because. Because.
Ready to accomplish your macro photography goals? Our SJP membership will keep you on track, hold you accountable for your goals, and teach you new techniques. This program provides you the value of a college course with the fraction of the price.
For more information, head on to membership.sullivanjphotography.com. It's time to focus on your goals to get you to where you want to be.
So don't miss out.
Ta-da!
We are rocking right. Yeah.
Rolling right into it.
Rolling right into it, you guys. We're jumping on Shannon right now. Sandra, thank you so much for submitting your beautiful rose image. So let me read this real quick. She used a 90 millimeter at 1/3 of a second f8, and her ISO was 200. She thought the water droplets and curves of the petals were interesting. Thank you for reaching out for the information. She did say that in the beginning she had trouble, but this was way back before AD, you hooked us up and got that whole page done for us. So now it's easier to submit images. Awesome. So, it just went away. Because my sister's calling me, and I totally got took my calls off.
Well, we could just hold while you take a phone call, Janice, if you'd like.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So hopefully she doesn't keep calling, because that's one thing my sister does. And I did put in my computer it says right here, call notification will be silenced. Okay,
Silence.
Well, sorry guys. So this is what Shannon was after. She was definitely loving the curves and the water droplets and stuff, and that's what she felt was interesting. It is a small res, just to let you know, AD. Yeah. It is small, and sometimes when they're small, like if we go to 1-to-1, this is how I know, because it goes way back.
Right.
And this is how I know. So when we're coming up to fit, it's because the actual file itself is really teeny, so it's not giving it the detail that I would love. So just a little tidbit for you guys: go ahead and don't change the size of your image, just change the dots per inch to 72 or whatever, and that will work perfect for me in AD. So it's kind of cool to see things farther back anyways, to tell you the truth. So you go for it, and I can go for it too. And if I need to put it into the development, and mess with it, we could do that too.
Yeah, I think for me, there's only I just have a couple of comments on this one. I think so. I didn't have the comments, her comments, before we started the show, because mine still says that we're waiting for the comments on it. It was nice hearing that she was going for the curves and whatnot, and I think that she achieved that with the water droplets. I think that's beautiful as well. Not seeing the high res photo, I'm not going to comment on any of that. I think the only suggestion that I would make is, and you guys will hear me say this like over and over and over and over again till it's in your head, but be careful of extreme contrasts in the corners of your image as it draws your eye away from your subject. So in the lower right hand corner of the image, there is a dark spot, and that needs to go. So I would crop that in a little bit to remove that dark spot. Other than that, though, I want to say that capturing this color is very difficult to do without like blowing it out, right, and losing a lot of detail. And I think she achieved the detail part of it from what I can see without losing that. Reds are very hard to get like without overdoing it, right? So I thought that the tones and everything were very nice on this. I like the way the rose is kind of it's kind of a somber or sad look. The roses, if you think of the rose as a face, it's kind of looking down, it looks like it's looking down. So I really like that, the pose. It's just that down in the lower right hand corner, it just draws my eye away from what I really want to look at here. And that's the curves, what she was going for, which she captured. And I think that, if there was any other part of that maybe would, that I would suggest is think about getting even closer. If you like those curves, how about we feature just a couple of them rather than the whole flower? So start thinking about like your goal. You said that you like the curves. So let's not capture all of the curves everywhere, because they get lost in the subject matter. But maybe if you went for more of an abstract and got even closer and captured just maybe one of those curves softly, just really flowing through the image. And it's hard to show that with such a small image here to be able to do that. But, that's your homework. Go.
There's your homework. That's a good homework.
From me is get closer and think about what you enjoy about the images that you're taking, and think about that goal that you're trying to achieve, the curves, and then try to zero in and just capture just that curve. Just capture a curve, not curves, all of them. Just pick the nicest area and try to capture that. Maybe the water droplet. I think the upper middle section of this image with the water droplet in the right hand thirds, and then cropping that down to just that Y section right there. It's kind of a Y laying on its side. I think that would just be gorgeous, but you've got to experiment, because my eye may see something different than what you do in the curves, and so you need to zero in on the curves that appeal to you. That's my suggestion. Anyways, I went way long.
I like that. So what I want to suggest is this is a very difficult color, and I have actually made in my YouTube channel how to fix these. Look for how to color correct reds, bright images. I have a video on how to do this, and most of the time you are just overexposing a little bit when it comes to these colors. But I do have a video for you guys. So if you are interested, it's already, the doing's a little done, but when it comes to processing this. But I suggest you check this out because I talk about white balancing, using a white card. I talk about these problems because Janice shoots a lot of red. I mean, the red is my signature color. I don't know if you guys have ever been to my website, but my website is Southwestern. So it's red and turquoise. But the red, I love red roses, and the red color, I just love that color, always have. And so, most of the time when you shoot this, I just want to let you know that take it down a half a stop to a stop when you expose for this. And usually then what you could do is bring it up. Let me just do this real quick. So I'm going to share this real fast. So if you underexpose just a tad, right? And then when you go into post-processing, you'll be able to bring it up just a little bit. And it won't look so vibrant. And that's usually what it is because the sensors can't handle the, actually, look at how,
well,
this has changed.
Yeah, the sensors actually have filters in them to cut out a lot of the reds. In the infrared department, where we actually do see the upper spectrum of that mixed in with the colors. And when you put those filters on a camera to protect the sensor, it's difficult for a camera to capture reds. And that's why purple, in case anybody has ever tried, purple is a very difficult color to match. You can take a photo of it and it may look pretty, but it's very hard to match it like it is in real life because of that problem with UV and IR. Yeah, the way that our eyes see it is different than the camera is forced to see it. So it's both of those reds and purples are very difficult to. Reds, you can get close, but purples are damn near impossible to match. They just they don't want to line up.
Yeah, for sure.
And there are some new tools we're going to talk about, and too,
we are. I'm so excited.
That have to do with this very subject. So
yes, this is going to be our little surprise that we're going to share with you. Okay, so let's go ahead and we will go to Baz's images. So what it is he has, let me just share a whole bunch at one time. Let's do this. So he's trying something different with close-up. So let's get over here. Okay, come on now. And I think I got him. Oh, survey
I've got
yes.
The daylilies are up. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Look at you. Look at you go.
So yeah, watch out. So what we're going to do is, I have to get to my show notes. So, sorry guys. It definitely, I knew that was going to happen.
So these are double exposures.
Yes. So
Very
Baz
cool.
has double exposures. And so he said, let's see.
Boy, talk about trying to make your work even more difficult.
Oh my gosh, this is so hard. So basically what he was saying, and I didn't look like I didn't put it in the show notes, AD. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
It's all right. I just go on what you say, so it's fine.
No, it says here, their macro close-up and camera double exposure, 2 shots. Should I persevere to perfection in this method is what Baz is asking. Well, I always say if you like it, don't go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we could give them tidbits.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have quite a bit of feedback for one of his images coming up, and it's completely different from this. But yeah, this is a great way. This is what I love when people submit this sort of thing, because he's experimenting, he's trying something new, and you hit it right on the head, right out of the gate. If you really enjoy this, it doesn't matter what I tell you to do. you should continue to explore it. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about photography that I love. I mean, I'm noted as a landscape photographer, but I ventured off that rail and started taking photos of abandoned places, and then I really enjoyed that, and people really enjoyed that, and I found my mark. And so it wouldn't have been for that, oh, let's take a picture of this, broken down building. I don't think anybody's going to enjoy it, but I think it looks pretty cool. And then, all of a sudden everything blew up around it, and I decided I wanted to do it more. And I think that that's the way you're going to discover what you really love to do is keep going on this. If you enjoy it, keep going. Yeah. And you're going to look back at these first images and you're going to be like, what was I doing? Right?
You always do.
You always do. And my first thought was like, holy cow, dude, you're like, trying to color match, and when you start putting two images together, if both images are color, now you've got like these palettes that you're trying to mix together, right? That are you're really getting into it. I mean, this is some deep stuff. So I think the first photo with the daylilies is a great match of colors. I think everything there works for me because the palette isn't all over the place. When you go to the flowers that are on the bottom, which kind of look like orchids, but I'm not sure, the flowers that are in the middle on the bottom, there's so many colors in there that it's a wee bit much.
See, now that's for you, because guess what? I like the one on the bottom.
So listen, Janice, I like the one on the bottom for the processing. I like the soft processing, but the color mix for me is more off-putting than the colors are for the daylilies. I wish you would have put the more soft processing on that image.
On these daylilies.
Like mix them together a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you're going to, this is exactly right. Everybody's going to have their own opinion.
Different.
And I think the takeaway for Baz is just keep going, dude. And keep, if you're enjoying it, absolutely do more of it. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I do think that so these two, check this out, AD, this one over here has a lot, this one has a lot, and then see this one, how it doesn't have that much in the background. So it's a total different feel.
Oh yeah. And
on the right side.
And
so
honestly,
it's like,
Janice, at this
I
point,
would pay attention to those, like which ones do you really want to focus on and get better at?
As far as like my feedback, I'm not even I don't believe he's to the point where he needs that kind of input yet. That's my take on it. Like now, just keep doing it. Keep exploring. And then once you get comfortable with what you're doing and you're putting stuff together more, then you're going to be like, with this image, I tried, because his initial question right now was, should I keep going?
Should I? Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And I don't want to dig too deep, because the problem is a lot of times if you dig too deep, you can discourage people. If I start going off on, well, this shouldn't be in there and that should be over there. Yeah, then they're going to be like, well, I'm not winning here no matter what, right? And Trey taught me that with HDR. He's like, when people first start getting into HDR, you have to be careful that you're not like, wow, I don't know what you're doing with the colors there. That's really, because they're trying things out.
Yeah.
I mean, 110% credit for just not doing the same thing over and over again and trying something new, right?
Sure.
So no discouragement, Baz, at all.
Not at all.
From either one of us.
Love it.
Yeah, and I want to see more of your stuff like this. Because this to me is very foreign. I don't know if it is for you, Janice, but the double exposure stuff has always mystified me. So right. I just think you know what? I just love different things, and it's exciting for me to see when somebody just really pushes out of their comfort zone. That's why he's asking, because we all ask that, like, hey, how do you feel about this? Right. Well, you know what I mean? So I totally agree. I think both of us agree. It's amazing. Keep going. We want to see more, right?
It's different. Yeah, for sure. Different. All right. Let's go back to us and let's talk about Lightroom, and then we'll go on to the other feedback, which is super exciting. Now, you guys have not said, okay, in the chat, I just still want to know. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about Adobe made a huge change in their software. So not everybody's using Adobe, and this is what we were talking about a little bit before we actually got on the show, which I thought it's really, really cool. So and AD is going away from Adobe, and he has good reasons for it. And so I still have Adobe, but we're still going to share with you some of the new things.
Yeah, and I still have it too.
You still have it, but you're thinking about it.
Yeah. So I'm running in parallel right now because it's very hard just to say, oh, I'm going to start using something else, no matter what the reason. It's very difficult to make a platform change, whether it be Mac, PC, or software, Adobe, whatever. So for me, I wanted to make sure that my Lightroom catalogs all stayed in check and everything before I just hop, skip, and a jump off to let's go. And then get halfway in the middle of using this other piece of software and go, oh crap, this won't do what I need it to do. And then I have to go back and pull out, buy Lightroom again or do whatever. And I just didn't, I can't do that. So for the last year, I've been running several different pieces of software alongside of Lightroom to see if I can not open Lightroom for like a year and still be okay. That's kind of my goal. I know it's paying money, but I'm using the other software in the suite. I'm using Premiere and After Effects and Audition. I use that stuff pretty much daily. So moving away from, I can't get away from Photoshop. That's the one that's killing me right now. Is that there are a few things with editing in Photoshop that it's very difficult for me to not have. Now it's getting better now. The latest iteration of Luminar 4 has added that you can load in brushes, you can do all this kind of stuff now. That's changed quite a bit. They still haven't quite got the whole cataloging thing figured out, but they offer a version that doesn't have that. So if you want both, you can have both, I guess. So, and then we were talking earlier about how I'm moving away from Premiere, that I've started using DaVinci, which is actually DaVinci Resolve is a professional level grade. And it's not that Premiere isn't, but if you went, and talked to movie producers like Peter Jackson and folks like that, they're not using Premiere.
This is a video, you guys. Premiere.
Yeah. So for video use, I'm using that on, and I'm using Apple Motion over on my Mac for the After Effects things like the titling and all the things that we do on our videos and all the things that you see on here that are on the feedback loop there that's animated and all that kind of stuff. That's what you would use that for. So I'm slowly trying to move away from the Adobe suite, but I'm still in it. So I still got a foot in there. So I did notice they changed all of the icons and they actually, while they look better, they're all the same color now, which is very confusing to me. I always liked the different color icons because it was easy for me to find on my desktop, but they're... So
which one is that for though?
All of them, all of the icons. They used to be the two letters, like Premiere was PR and Photoshop was PS, but they were all different colors. So it was easy to identify them by color, right? Now they're all the same color. Like every icon is the same color, and it's very, I don't like it, but.
Yeah, because I like color stuff. Now, what do you guys use that are out there? Elise, I don't know. Remember what you use? I think we were talking a little bit about that. I know, Catherine, you have the Photoshop and all the other fun stuff too. We'll get into those, Topaz and Luminar, but we'll do little segments on each show just to give it a different flavor and just to spice up things. But today we definitely want to share with you some of the difference. So what I'm going to do is get off of this and we shall share some of the different, and we did this. So I have to tell you, I thought about this last minute. So AD and I are just throwing this out really quick on the different things that Lightroom has updated, and I believe it was June 15th, the Lightroom program.
Actually, I have the page called up right here, right in front of me, so I can see it. because
good.
Because I wanted a refresher because I knew I wouldn't remember everything that was done. So yeah, it was quite an update. There's probably like 8 major features that were added or updated.
Yes.
And then there's a detail on that as well on their blog page for Lightroom. But probably the most notable one I would think is the local hue adjustment, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. Let's do that. So this right here, when you use when you play with this over here to the right, it's all globally changing. But now when you use these top buttons up here, you can see where my mouse is to the right. So now I'm clicking on the brush right here, and here's what AD's talking about. So how cool is this? Let's go back.
So it's really what I like to do when I was playing around with this, Janice, is really cool, is if you make your brush like really large, it's like huge, and you have the auto mask feature on, and if you click on the middle of that flower where the pink is there, well, actually make your brush even bigger so it covers like almost the whole screen before you make any adjustment. Yeah. Okay. Don't click on the white part of the, well, you did already. That's all right.
I'll just start all over. So how big can you see it? How big?
I usually make it so it would cover most of the flower. Yeah, I mean, really jack it up there. Like it. Yep, and then just click it once, like right in the. You don't even have to move it around. You just click once on the flower, and then you can go ahead and make the hue adjustment, and it'll actually change like the base color of the flower.
So wait, did it not work for me? Did I not do it?
I don't know. I don't see a thing there.
Yeah, so it should change.
You gotta click on the dark pink part though. I don't think you did. I think you clicked on the light pink.
Oh, I don't know.
There you go. There you go. It did it that time.
Oh yeah, but I want to do let's see. Let's do this. I'm gonna not auto mask, and I'm just gonna do something crazy just so they could see it. Okay, and now let's see. Now look, wow, look at, you can see now, see how the gradient, it's hard to see though, but you can see the lines where it's gradient. So if I want
That's really weird because it looks like you're changing the saturation to me on my end.
Well, here it is. See over here, the hue.
Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, that is a saturation, huh?
Yeah.
But
can you click on the top one? Isn't there isn't there like 2 bars there you click on? I can't remember.
Yeah, no, I
only played with it for like 10 minutes, but I was able to shift hues on just about everything. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I see. Here's all the different. Look at how pretty that is, though. The purple.
Yep. And
I love that.
You can add more brushes. This is where it gets really awesome, is because you can she can click off the brush and then click on it again and add another point and change other colors around like the flower too. So you can do multiple layers of tonal shifts, which is really awesome, especially for flower work.
You could also just change, like all these brushes work. So this works now. See?
Yep.
You could do this, and then you could also go ahead and change it with this now to just make something funky. And what's really neat too is if I want to make another adjustment that, let's just say over here, right? Okay, so this right here is making extreme adjustments. Well, let's see, let's do something different.
If you double click on it, it'll actually go back to center up and it'll remove the tonal stuff. If you double click on the arrow.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I wanted to share with them is that, see where this fine adjustment, sometimes you don't want to do such an extreme amount. So this fine adjustment only, you could see the numbers over here changing, but it's not that much. And I wanted to actually, let's do something so they could see it. I think this is great. If you say, if like that orange image, the rose that we had, and say if she wanted to get rid of, the orange feel to it, that she could actually play with it, like, mess with the colors and remove some of the orange. Oh, I got it on not the extreme. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, this is like such a different feel to it that you can play with your, say if your camera is off for some reason, or if you just want to be dramatic, you can really, that is like a huge thing. But they were saying all the colors, you could play with all of these, and then also HSL. So it's like they really did a huge color revamp in Lightroom.
Yep.
So let's get off of this. And I'm going to go back. We'll just go by here. Let's just go over here to HSL. So where is it? There was something here, unless I can't. There was like little bubbles, and I don't remember where it went. I saw it. All right, well, Janice is like losing it. Let's close this. Look what I did to my image.
Well, that kind of ties right in with, they also have edit versions now where you can make different edit versions of your photos without disturbing the original edit, which is pretty cool, because that way you can kind of side by side and see whether or not there's going to be problems with, or which one you like the most, or however you want to go about it. But I thought that was a neat feature to be able to do like several edits and then compare them to see, which one you like the most.
Right. Yeah, now that's what and then, another thing too is the changes that have happened here are also in Photoshop, Adobe Raw, Camera Raw. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that has changed too, and there's even more to that. But one of the things they were saying too was how things are moving fast. And also I remember watching, as if you want to do something, okay, so see how my image is turning, but the navigator hasn't turned. Mm-hmm. Back in the days, the navigator would change at the same time. And it's something to do with speed. But see, once I let go, there's the navigator showing what you've done.
So it's not a live update, so that helps speed everything up a little bit more.
Yes. So this way you and it's kind of fun too, then you could see, okay, this is what I have. And what I like about it, because I do like looking at my image smaller just to give it a whole feel, that then I could say, well, maybe I want to change my shadows, but I'm looking to the left and say, no, that's not making that much of a difference. You know what I mean? So you kind of have two different views now, I feel. So I like that for sure. I like that feel of being able to manipulate without actually changing the navigator. So that was kind of cool.
The other thing that they've done too is they've also changed the fact that you can set up a custom raw processing when you load your files in from your camera or your SD card or whatever. When it's imported into the Lightroom catalog, it can apply your own raw settings so that every photo gets a treatment off that when you're loading the stuff in. So you could actually have presets of raw processing, which is kind of nice as well.
Oh, yeah. I did see something about that too. And I think that's under the, you would change that somewhere over here. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what else too that I thought was really, go ahead. I was just saying, you know what else I thought was really cool is, when you pay for your subscription, you have a cloud. So you could see mine's not in sync right now. I have it paused. Mm-hmm. But see over here to the top right next to it where it says web, you automatically have, look at I have 100 gigabytes, but I've only used 4.8 in the cloud. Right. So I'm sure if I started syncing, it would suck it all up, but I don't put everything in my cloud. But anyways, I still feel like if you're in the cloud, which is really cool, because this goes with you wherever you're at, especially if you're out photographing and you're on vacation and you want to see, you could sync it up here, and then say you want it your laptop, you can go in and you've got your images here on the cloud. You just pull it right up boom, and you can work on your images that you shot, say if you're on vacation. So, I think that cloud is pretty cool that you could see it right here. I have, but I actually don't have Classic on my laptop for me. This is Classic only, but I still think it's cool to be able to have this right here.
Yeah, I would sync my iPad actually with, and when I would go to a gallery, or if I was looking to shop around some of my shots for a restaurant or a hotel front or something like that, I could just take my iPad and I could sync a collection from my desktop of selected photos, and then I just open up my iPad and they'd all be right there in Lightroom. So if I wanted, just show them a slideshow, or if I wanted to even alter some colors and say, we can make these things go together if you want to with the decor that you have, with a few adjustments, and that would allow them to actually see the color work being done like right there in front of them. That, it's it's a nice feature to have. But I will also say that, On1 and a couple other companies are also doing the whole cloud thing between an app and the desktop as well, because I think that's probably the future, is to be able to,
I think so too,
with mobile photography the way that it is today, and mobile cameras getting as good as they are today. I think people want to be able to have access to their photos pretty much anywhere. I know I've been out a lot of times and been like, oh, I got to show you something. This is a place we're looking at shooting, and where do you go to? Your cell phone, and you look at your cloud, Google Photos or Apple Photos or whatever that you might run, and you can call up your images from there and share them, or at least show them to somebody while you're out on the road, which is always a big help. And I think they're trying to do this with the desktop as well.
Yeah, I like that. I'm just playing while I'm listening to you, but I'm playing too, just to show them. Okay, well, we could go back to us. This is a good nice little break. We're ready to. So Elise is saying that she used some free programs, Canon, Photoscape, and an Easy HDR ones that she uses the most. So that's good. See, that's why I'm curious to know.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of programs out there. Like Darktable is one of them that is a noted Lightroom killer, and it's for Linux. And I think it's for Mac as well. But it's called Darktable, and it's essentially they've every feature that Lightroom has, they have in this, and it's a free program. You just download it and use it.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Yeah,
to tell you the truth.
there's a lot of good programs out there that are free. I think one of the things to achieve for a lot of people is look into affiliate programs with software. If you're if you can build your audience and get your photos out there and get them to the point where you're doing shows, or you have a YouTube page that you're doing, like what Janice and I do. You talk to the software companies, and a lot of times you get demos and things to try this stuff, and it makes it a heck of a lot easier. Now Adobe won't do it. I'll tell you right up front, they won't, because of their stance in the everybody uses them, so they don't need to do it. But you get companies like On1 and Topaz, and they have active affiliate programs, which means you demo their software for your students or for people that you are in a photo club with or anything like that, and you a lot of times can get a copy of the software for yourself.
You might not have asked Adobe, because guess what? Adobe, I am affiliated with Adobe now.
Well, look at
you.
So
I think they're changing. Their ways, because you know why? Because they got a lot of competition.
Yeah, right.
So So you know what? They're changing. I want to let you guys know. So get out there, and you never know. But what AD's too saying is that you could get free stuff. Is that what you're talking about, instead of affiliated?
Yeah, but you gotta,
because I get
you got to do the work too. You gotta it's not you're not getting it just to promote. I mean, I don't tell people to go buy Luminar when unless I use it myself and feel that it's a good program. So I only promote things that I actually use. So and we were talking about before the show started that I'm working with Anthropics in the they have a program called Landscape Studio Max out. And I've used it a couple of times, and they're trying to start an affiliate program, but they're not really sure here and there. And I understand that. Have probably 4 or 5 pieces of software that I use way more than I use that. So
right.
So for me, they left it wide open. They said, hey, if you're going to promote this and you want to use it, we'll work with you for a month and see how it goes. And I said, well, yeah, I'm not using it that much. So,
Yeah, you have to be truthful on your affiliates. I mean, I wouldn't support something that I'm not using either. So what about it? Okay, so I'm probably not saying your name the best. You Kirsch. Anyways, what about, have you heard of this? Because I haven't. Ableton. Ableton.
Yeah, it's a recording sequencer program that I used to use, Ableton Live years ago in the music biz, but I haven't used it in probably 10, 15 years.
Well, that's okay, but that's not. You wouldn't use it for macro, right?
We would not.
Okay, sorry,
no, it's not quite not quite a photography thing. Yeah, we were talking about video and whatnot, but
maybe that's why. Okay, got it.
Absolutely.
All right, let's head on to Catherine's image.
Cool.
I'm so excited.
Share the screen. There we go.
Yay! Look at this beautiful piece. Okay,
awesome.
So I am so happy with Catherine. So anyway, she said she used a 60 millimeter macro lens, micro 4/3 camera. She has the Olympus. I'm sure that's what it was. The settings were f7.1, ISO 400, shutter speed 1/60th of a second, and she was hand holding the camera. After first looking at the image on the computer, I decided I preferred less depth of field. So in Lightroom, I lowered the clarity of the petals, but left the center sharp. Woohoo! And
nice.
In Photoshop, I added some pink paint to a few areas that seemed too white. I hope the photo causes an emotional response of some kind. Well, it has responded to me, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think it's a great photo. Technical guy over here. The only suggestion I would make, Catherine, is always make sure you do your border patrol, because in the upper right hand corner you got a little dark spot there, just a little dark spot. And in my eye, unfortunately, once I saw it,
where? I don't see it. I'm so bad.
Well, it's up in the upper right hand. It's the very right hand corner. It looks like the very edge of the leaf, the petal.
Oh, up here at the very top.
Yep. And so that's why I always say, always do your border patrol. But other than that, I think it's a perfect image. I love it. Again, this is something that I would print and shop it around, because it's definitely a beautiful image. And every time we see stuff from her, it gets better and better. So.
Yes. And I have to say, she has really, really put her soul. Okay, so she's put we're working together, me and Catherine, and that's why I said I'm so proud of her, because she was saying that it's hard for her to feel the work. And I'm like, you got to feel it. And
yep.
I totally see it now in her work, that she's paying attention to how she feels. And it is, to me, Catherine, you have just gone she's just rocking it totally. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I love the way it feels, how it's moving up here, and the way she has made it soft, because that's kind of like a Catherine image.
Yep.
I also have one little tidbit. And it's just Janice being real anal. So bad. Okay, so I absolutely love how this goes and how it's looking really. I love the way. What are these in here? I forget what these are called. You ladies probably know what they're called, but these little anthers, I believe these are anthers. I can't.
Stamens?
Stamen, probably stamen. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But see these little spots right here? I would get rid of just like this spot and this spot.
Yeah, it's such
And
a
I wouldn't
soft
mind
image. You don't want to have that high contrast in there.
Yes, that's the only reason what I would just get rid of that. Other than that, I'm telling you, like just these little teeny little things, just because if she blows this up and prints it up real big, that's going to be like in her eyes for sure. But other than that,
yeah,
I just love
good
it.
Composition, nice flow, good colors, all the way around. Yeah, it's just the little things. It's now you're to the point where, you know, it's those final little touches that's you know, and that's the thing with you. It's interesting when someone starts to find themselves. This was I think Catherine is the same to you as Scott Norris was with me. You know, I saw Scott and he came to me with, you know, and he just didn't, he's like, I don't know if I'm like, dude, just put it all together and see what comes out. And then he exploded, you know? And I think that, I think I see that same thing with Catherine, and it's just a wonderful feeling as a mentor and a person who shares their knowledge with other people. When you see that effect happen, it's just wonderful. So
yeah, that's what I live for, you know, and that's what you live for. And then
absolutely,
for her to be making stuff that I'm just like, oh, I could tell that she's totally she's feeling it and rocking it. I'm so woohoo! High five, Catherine. Very nice, very nice. All right, so now we're going to end with something that Baz has no idea that we're doing because I just wanted to go on with this, and I love what AD has done. So this right here is something that Baz had submitted before, and I really do see a lot of bubbles, a lot of you know, water drops and all kinds of fun things.
Yep.
And I am so happy, AD, that you did this. And so like, let me just show AD's what he had done. Okay. Now look at how awesome this is just by taking a little bit of the distractions out here and here. So we sometimes when we get into our work, don't you feel like we're just so into it that we definitely need the second, third, fourth, fifth eyes because we're so into our work?
Yeah, I think it always helps. I think for me, Baz, when I first looked at this, and I know you'll watch this again and really take this in. So when I first saw this image, I was like, this is really cool. I love, and I'm like a big weather nut. I love everything about weather. And so I studied maps and love that stuff. And the first thing I thought of was like, that looks like a cool radar map of a big storm, right? So I was like, there's a big storm on this planet. And I'm like, what is this? But then I looked down at the bottom and I saw these reflections down at the bottom. And I thought, well, that looks like a city. But then I'm like, wait a second. And so I got a city and I got a bubble going on and I got like a planet, and all of a sudden my head was like, I don't know what I'm not enjoying it as much suddenly. And so that's what inspired me to, like, I just quickly threw this into Photoshop and I cropped it, and I balanced the darkness of the top was a little light, so I darkened that a little bit so it just looked like staring into space, and suddenly it became an alien planet to me.
Isn't it great?
And I was just like, that's it. That's what I first saw when I first saw it, and really attracted me to it. And I'm like, it's a stormy, angry, greenish, pinkish planet. and
Yes.
I think he has a second photo here. I think that the reflection could be a different thing. That could be
this one down in here.
Yeah, and it's a common thing that I see with a lot of people. Is I'll look at their photos and I'll see like 3 or 4. I'm like, dude, you could have made like 4 awesome photos out of this one photo that I like, but I can't decide what I want to look at in it, right? And so when you have an opportunity like that, always look at it as a plus. Like, oh, cool, I can edit it this way and I can edit it that way, and I'll get more out of it than, or shoot it. I usually say sooner or later your brain will flip over and you'll start shooting things that way. You'll start breaking things down and say, oh, I see this and I'm going to shoot that, and then I'm going to focus on this area down here, and you still might shoot the whole thing. But when you're in the editing suite and you're looking at afterwards, that photo of everything all together most likely will be the one that gets tossed. Like you probably, you'll just use it as reference, but you'll probably, your eye will start seeing these things. And I was really inspired by what I saw there. And it took me 2 seconds to crop it and get rid of a little dots on there and take the distractions away and make this really cool, awesome alien planet thing. So
yeah, it looks great. I love it. And that's one of the things why I wanted to bring this up, because to get something like this and your macro shooting, and I think this is one of the things that I love too, is that when you get so close, it is like its own little environment. And that's what this felt like to me. And so I'm like, we have to bring this back on the show, because there's so many people that are watching that are getting up close and making their own environment. So it's really cool.
Tiny worlds. I mean, tiny planets are interesting. Tiny worlds are interesting.
Yes.
I went to this one place to shoot, and it was this big abandoned factory, and I ended up on my stomach shooting these little plants that were growing on this piece of rusted metal. And it was like this forest. Like it was the moss looked like grass, and these little other growths of like grass or whatever was growing out of them looked like trees. And I was like, this is so cool. And it was so tiny. Everybody's like, what are you doing over there? And I'm like, come look at this little world, And so it's really exciting because this stuff is around us everywhere. And and that's the great thing that macro photography can teach you, is to really take a closer look at the world around you. And you become very grateful after a while, because you realize that the world is amazing, and it's right here. Sometimes you don't need to go any farther than your own backyard to find a totally new world. And we moved to this new place year before last.
Let's go back to us, AD, so we can talk to you.
Yeah, we moved to this new place a couple of years ago, and we have a pond out back, and it's so neat. From like, I don't know, April all the way through to August to the autumn, it's different every other day. I mean, you go out there, you see something completely different, something completely new, and it's in my own backyard. I don't have to go anywhere, so even if you don't have a pond, it's still ever changing out there. So so much fun.
And that's what I like too. Like you're saying, it's always changing. So that's what, keep sharing, you guys. Keep sharing this work. Absolutely. It's so much fun. Catherine says she cleaned up some spot, but she'll remove some more. Thank you, Catherine.
Awesome. Keep going. Right. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, because it's awesome.
Just keep going. Yeah. So we're gotten to the end, and I want to thank every single one of you guys that have watched the show, and for all of you that have submit work. And feel free to submit work. We don't bite. See, we don't bite. We do have. I didn't say it in the beginning, but we do have another show July 9th. That's 2 weeks from now at 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We're in daylight time right now in California. And it will either be with AD or myself, or it may be a person that, but you guys, if you're we do have a Facebook group just for this show, and I always give updates in there about the show. And if you guys have questions, then definitely let us know. And if you want us to talk about maybe a tool or anything, just let us know, and we love to chat.
Yeah, if I'm the one that's going to be on the show, maybe I'll try to work something up where we can look at an alternative software tool, and I'll do an edit, and we can see how maybe there's other things out there that you guys might want to try as well, other than just the regular Photoshop Lightroom that we always talk about. And I'll see if I can put something together for that. I'm sure I can.
Yeah. And maybe I think that doesn't Mac have like an Apple thing? I could look at that. Maybe I could do that's free, right? When you get a Mac. I've never used it before, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. Or well, AD and I will think of something, because I do love to break it up in between images and just chatting about what we could do as macro photographers. Yep. All right. Time is over now. Yes, Ada, it's over. Let's see. So Specs 357 says, same for me. The pond often has old Canon G9 is underwater. Oh, you have an underwater case. That's so cool.
Nice.
Yes, that would be a blast, wouldn't it?
Oh,
macro underwater.
Yep.
All righty. So, yep, it's an hour. But for you replayers, you can chat down below in the comment section. And if you like the show, give it a thumbs up and share it with some other macro people that you think that will enjoy this show. I know Elise is rocking it in the professional macro photography group. Thank you, Elise. I want to give you a high five, Cyber. She's been sharing our show with the, we have like over 5,000 people, I think, Elise, in that
Very nice.
group. I mean, it's a huge group. So hopefully they'll come on over and join us here too. This is a blast.
Oh, thank you, Elise. No, seriously, she says thank you in the chat. Thank you very much. We appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. So.
Yes, for sure. And we will end with, remember that your 1,000 words does make a difference. Cheers, everyone.
Ciao.